How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman, and the topic for this particular broadcast is something that some of you may have heard of. It has to do with artificial intelligence, but I want to bring this to your attention. And what this particular thing is called, it's generally called in the business model collapse. Model collapse. For those of you that have some familiarity with artificial intelligence, you know they're being trained on stuff. I'm going to use that phrase, stuff. And a lot of that stuff came from the general internet. And of course, we can gauge the quality of that. All of you can. Another set came from copyrighted information, and there's lawsuits all over the place now. And some people call it intellectual capital theft. I call it that also. And the other content that it's being trained on is information that is generated by the AI engines themselves and put back into the training model. I know this sounds kind of weird, but that's what's happening. People are using these AI engines, artificial intelligence engines, to generate stuff that is going back on the internet, and these engines are being trained on this garbage, that's out there. And that's why it's being called model collapse. And what we have here is a situation where the AI growth is causing a growth in AI growth information, which is being pushed back into these models. So it's starting to, that's why it's called collapsing. It's collapsing on itself. It's getting more and more questionable about what is on there. And of course, the evildoers are having a great time generating content and these get-rich quick schemes. There's all sorts of things that are going on there. If you want to take a look, I do some science fiction reading of a little bit, and there's a magazine called Clark's World. And they had to stop accepting submissions from various authors because they saw so much AI stuff being generated. And the reason for this is that there were training videos that were being put out there by third parties for X dollars on how you can generate science fiction articles and feed those to Clark's World as submissions. And of course, they were able to relatively quickly find out that this is a bunch of junk, essentially that's out there. And of course, the viewers, fueled through Google Ads, are finding, make $1,000 a week by doing this, that, and the other thing. You just sit back and push these 14 buttons, and new content will be generated. Even more of a concern, of course, is that we are in the United States into the beginnings, it seems to be getting earlier every year, into the political time frame here, where ads and information that's out there. And we already see an incredible amount of political disinformation and targeted messages in incredible quantities. Nobody knows exactly where they're coming from for various reasons, because there is no traceability and transparency. Of course, we knew that well before AI, and so it's just so much easier to be able to do this now. And some are calling this AI-generated spam is surging across the internet. So what we're seeing here with the growth of AI is if you had somewhat of a trust in it at one particular time, you're seeing now, because of the AI sort of like feeding on itself, it's becoming less and less trustworthy if you had any trust in it, at all. And so how do you address this? how do you address this whole, situation? Well, well, it's what we call EAI, enterprise artificial intelligence, where organizations generate human-generated content that is used to train their own engines proprietarily in-house, if I can use that phrase, and that's where the AI engine is working. It's working off of data that is generated, traceable and transparent to the authors, and that's where we suggest very strongly the benefits of AI will occur. Not in the general models that we see out there because of the pollution that we already see. And this is just the beginning. So don't despair. Think about it differently. Think about it as a great opportunity to get ahead of everyone else by bringing the AI engine in-house. The processing engine is very powerful now, but it's the data and the training data that's being used that you got to watch out for. So use your own data. That's going to be the benefits. That's going to be the competitive advantage. Take a look. I think you'll be pleased. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.